them be. It would be pointless to get frustrated over them and waste time and energy trying to change them. Instead, change your attitude and perception. Through this realization, we cannot be influenced by external event. We can also in turn control our reactions, and our minds become impenetrable. 2. Imagine life without possessions and people, and justly appreciate them. Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the good things in one's life, and thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. The more one wants, the more dissatisfied they are. This begs the question then of how one finds happiness. Gratitude. We therefore have to be grateful for what we have and find joy in it. This is derived from a Stoic practice of imagining you lost some important possessions. The outcome would be that one learns to appreciate them rather than seeking others. In case one loses something or they are always taken, one should be grateful that they had the object, even if just over a period, rather than being upset about losing it. The Stoics taught that we borrow everything from the universe, and by being grateful, goodness remains in our lives and joy manifests from that despite things coming and going. 3. Don't just preach your values, live by them. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Epictetus. Stoicism is deeply embedded in personal values. One should understand that every decision they make contains certain moral implications. One should constantly ask themselves how they should behave in every situation and make choices and decisions based on personal values. In short, everyone should have a moral code and live by it. 4. Do not abide by the materialistic nature of the society. Wealth is not wanting the materialistic, but in having few wants. Epictetus. This principle is short and precise. If we endeavor to want less, there is a decrease in desire, and we eventually are satisfied more by what we have. 5. In your dealings be cheerful. A man thus grounded must, by his will or not, necessarily be attended by constant cheerfulness and joy that is deep and issues from deep within, since he finds delight in his resources and desires no joys greater than his inner joys. Seneca. One should enjoy all things of life, even the simple ones, and learn that they cannot control every situation. Therefore, be truly cheerful in all interactions. In summary, do not get caught up in materialism. Be cheerful always. Work diligently and know what you can and cannot control, as this is the Stoic way. How to be calm. As previously covered, Stoics sought to act on their principles and virtues and not passions or emotions. We observed in previous chapters about the 3 principles of Stoicism: Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca, who all faced adversities but chose to remain calm regardless. At about AD 55, Hierapolis, Pargia, Epictetus was conceived a slave on the eastwards outskirts of the Roman Empire. Right off the bat, he was enthusiastic about his rationality, and with the approval of his proprietor, he always fancied the Stoic reasoning under the guidance of Gaius Mucinus Rufus. Right after the passing of Nero, who was the 5th Roman ruler, who ruled with oppression and brutality, Epictetus showed his reasoning in Rome. He, later on, advanced to Greece, where he started to teach his philosophy through a school that majored on Stoicism. His school was well known, and he taught Marcus Aurelius, who was soon to become the emperor of Greece. In AD 121, Marcus Aurelius was born, a ruler who has been termed as the best Roman emperor who ever lived. He is famously known for his habit of writing the undertakings and lessons in his diary. His diary is what soon became the valuable book Meditations. It is the book that has filled in as updates for Stoic rule that concentrated on modesty, mindfulness, benefit, passing, nature, and that's only the tip of the iceberg. One other renowned Roman Stoic thinker is Seneca. Seneca was a mentor, an established statesman, and guide to Nero. He is famously known for the words which include many expositions and 124 letters that include subjects like training, fellowship, common obligation, moral commitment, quietude, mindfulness, discipline, and that's just the beginning. Some of his admirers include Emerson, Montague, John Stuart Mill, and Tom Wolfe. We are going to look at some of my most loved standards from the Stoic classes of logic, the majority of them related to the three scholars. If grasped and practiced frequently, the fundamentals of Stoicism will spearhead your innovativeness, encourage the work process you undertake, and enhance the general perspective of your life. Innovative work expects us to be helpless, dedicated, versatile, and gallant, and all these require an outlook which refutes diversions or negative driving forces while concentrating on what is essential. It's an intense exercise in careful control. Without a rationality to direct our work and life, we will determinedly surrender to our reasons and diversions. We will commit the agreeable error of following up on our mindsets and not on our standards. 1. Remember that failure is not the end. Does what's happened keep you from being generous, practicing self-control, sanity, honesty, prudence, humility, straightforwardness, and all other qualities that allow self-fulfillment? So, remember this principle when you are vulnerable to pain. The thing itself was no misfortune at all. To endure it and come out victorious is great fortune. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. Without failure, there is no growth. One must realize that there is life after failure, and let it not offset their emotions. 2. It is important to know that emotions are developed and experienced from the inside of you. Today I escaped anxiety, or no, I discarded it, because it was within me, in my perceptions, not outside. Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. External events cannot affect our emotions. Rather, it is what we tell ourselves that provokes feelings on it. Before reacting to situations, look within and not what is around you. 3. Identify someone you can trust and be honest with them. Choose someone whose way of life reflects what comes out of their mouth, and someone who mirrors the character of the person who owns that face. Reserve your judgment. Always point out this individual to yourself and see the person as either your model or your guardian. This is what I call a must perspective in someone's life, whereby the characters are the measures we are looking at. If there is no ruler to work on, it will not make things straight against you. Seneca, Letters from a Stoic. Similar to failure, find people you deem role models and can connect with on a personal level. Use these people to relay and communicate whenever you feel the urge, to be honest and need advice. 4. Remember that the greatest resource you have is time. Not to live as if you had endless years ahead of you. Death overshadows you. While you're alive and able, be generous. Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism is such an interesting philosophy, and what I love and is by far hard to follow is that passing is at the cutting edge of their considerations. Stoics understood that people are vaporous ideas and it is rehashed in numerous aspects of life. This produces a dire feeling, to understand that you have within you a specific amount of time in your hands, but you are not sure about the specified time that is assured, as the ones you have already lived. When these thoughts come to mind, I understand that regular is a chance to enhance, not in the direction of banality, but rather to genuinely figure out what we acknowledge as fit for accomplishing and how we are extremely in charge of the nature of our lives. 5. Remind yourself not to procrastinate. At dawn, when you have trouble sleeping, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. Why do I need to worry if I will just do what I was born to do? The things I am meant to accomplish in this world. Might this be my purpose? To hide under the blankets. But it's nicer here. So were you born to feel nice instead of doing things and experiencing them? Don't you see the plants, the ants, the birds, bees and spiders going about their tasks, putting the world in order? And you're not willing to do your job as a human being? Why aren't you running to do what you are meant to do? But we have to sleep sometime. Agreed, but nature set a limit on that, as it did on relishing food and drinks, and you're over the limit. You've had more than enough of that, but not of working. There you're still below your quota. You don't love yourself enough, or you'd love your nature too. People who love what they do give their own while engaging in it. They even forget to wash or eat. Don't you respect yourself more than the engraver does for engraving, the dancer for dance, the miser for the social climber for status or the money? When they're possessed by what they do, they'd rather stop eating and sleeping than give up practicing their arts. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. In the instance one is unable to focus or work on necessary tasks, the above text can go a long way to provide great motivation. 6. Read with resolution and apply your learnings. Don't just say you have read books. Show that through them you have learned to be a reflective thinker. Knowledge seeking is the training weights of the mind. It is not proper to assume that one has made progress simply by having internalized their contents. The Art of Living by Epictetus. Reading readies your brain, even encourages you to maintain a strategic distance from silly errors. Yet toward the finish of everything, there must be the after effect of some activity. Disappointment, perhaps a win or a lesson. Education's purpose is to disguise information. In any case, start an activity and encourage more shrewd choices. Perusing self-improvement guides will, at the time, make you feel roused for a change. 7. Analyze what you spend most of your on. Concentrate on. The value of attentiveness varies in proportion to its object. You're better off not giving very little time to the small things. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. As the above quotes suggest, we humans spend a lot of time on negligible things rather than those that matter. We should find out what matters and allocate most of our time to it. 8. Challenge yourself to be very honest. For a person who is oblivious to his wrong actions, do not expect to be corrected. Before you change, you have to catch yourself doing it. There are people who take pride in their failures. Imagine someone who is proud of his failures and actually counts them and does not consider salvaging them. Therefore, show that you are guilty in some way. Analyze yourself looking at all the evidence that stack against you. First, you need to be the prosecutor, then the judge, and later on, the pleader of the mitigation. You will need to be strict and harsh to yourself. Letters from a Stoic by Seneca. Changing habits is a difficult task. It's essential to be aware of the urges that block us from appearing, connecting with, conferring, and being available. When resistance sets in, use that as a go-ahead signal. The test is meant to prepare you to find the best way. This definitely is not about an ability or some obvious reflex. The act of mindfulness, to consider your reasoning by the way you think, feel, and carry on, is a muscle. 9. Withdraw from your phone and spend more time focused on the present times. Nothing, to my way of thinking, is a better evidence of a well-mannered mind than a man's ability to stop just at himself and spend time in his own company. Letters from a Stoic by Seneca. It isn't so much that we live in a time of distractions, but instead, an age where we are neglecting to educate and grasp careful thought processes. To me, a youngster in an eatery playing a game on her iPad is the same as a grown-up brushing through Instagram when you have companions with you. The two situations are snapshots of association to the general population who interact with, not through your screen, correspondence, and satisfaction. To be available and also figuring out how to be distant from everyone else is a propensity. A few people are decent at it since they set aside a few minutes to do it, truth be told. They require it or else they would go distraught. Everything is under your control and making the best of situations. 1. Change what you can. Forget the rest. The absolute most critical practice in Stoic logic is separating between what we can change and what we can't, what we have impact over and what we don't. As Epictetus expressed, the central errand in life is just this: to distinguish and isolate matters so I can state plainly to myself which are facades not under my control and which need to do with the decisions I control. 2. Begin living. This is one of Seneca's most noteworthy jests. You fear to bite the dust. Be that as it may, come now. How is this life of yours anything besides passing? Our dread of biting the dust frequently makes one wonder, to ensure what precisely? For many individuals, the appropriate responses are hours of TV, tattling, glutting, squandering potentials, and answering to an exhausting employment, without any end in sight and on. Today, begin living. 3. Know when to stick and when to quit. Think about the individuals who, not by blame of irregularity, but rather by the absence of exertion, are excessively shaky, making it impossible to live as they wish. However, just live as they have started. Seneca. 4. Respite and be grateful. Think of the considerable number of things you can be thankful for now. That you are alive, that you live in a period principally of peace, that you have enough well-being, relaxation, and access to a web association by reading this article. As Seneca kept in touch with his companion, Lucilius, in all things we should attempt to make ourselves be as appreciative as we could have expected under the circumstances. 5. Keep in mind that you can't be broken. Someone can toss you in chains, yet they don't have the ability to change your identity. Indeed, even under the most noticeably awful torment and brutalities that people can perpetrate on each other, our control over our brain and our energy to settle on our own choices can't be broken. As Epictetus has stated, you can tie up my leg, however, not even Zeus can break my flexibility of decision. 6. Continuously love. Here's Seneca citing another Stoic. Hecato says, I can show you an adoration mixture made with no medications, herbs, or uncommon spell, on the off chance that you would be cherished, love. The Beatles put it truly well a couple of hundred of years after the fact. At last, the affection you take is equivalent to the adoration you make. Not simply in governmental issues, not simply in resistance, but rather in our own lives. There is no circumstance in which contempt makes a difference. However, practically every circumstance is improved by affection. 7. Try not to burn the candle on both ends. Seneca wrote in his paper on tranquility of mind that the mind must take some time off to relax. It will feel more energized and keen after a decent break. The brain is a muscle, and like the rest, it can be stressed, exhausted, even harmed. Our physical well-being is likewise exhausted by overcommitment, an absence of rest, and unfortunate propensities. Keep in mind, life is a whole deal. Is it true that you will have the capacity to deal with troublesome minutes if you've taken on too much work? 8. Burrow deep within yourself. Burrow profound inside yourself, for there is a wellspring of goodness ever prepared to stream if you will continue burrowing. Marcus Aurelius. 9. Be kind. Most discourteousness, unpleasantness, and mercilessness is a cover for a profound situated shortcoming. Generosity in these circumstances is feasible for individuals of extraordinary quality. You have that quality. Utilize it. As Marcus Aurelius put it, for what can a vengeful person do on the off chance that you continue demonstrating generosity and if given the shot, you delicately bring up where they turned out badly? Perfectly fine is attempting to hurt you. 10. See the bigger picture. The Emperor Marcus Aurelius kept in touch with himself to think about the entire universe of issue and how little you offer. The Earth, the extent that science lets us know, is approximately 4.5 billion years of age, and hints at no closure soon. Our time on the Earth, then again, will be what? Quite a few years, possibly? Consider this whenever you feel vainglorious, or like everything rises and falls on what you do next. It doesn't. You're only one individual among many, doing your best among numerous. 11. Turn out to be good now. Don't carry on as though you are bound to live until the end of time. What's destined hangs over you. For whatever length of time you live, and keeping in mind that you can, turn out to be great at this point. Marcus Aurelius. 12. Concentrate inward. Don't judge others. Let reasoning scratch off your deficiencies, instead of being an approach to rail against the issues of others. Composed, Seneca. The correct heading of the theory is centered internal, to improve ourselves and to leave other individuals to that undertaking for themselves and their particular trip. Leave other individuals to their flaws. 13. You choose the outcome. Epictetus once said that he was sent to jail. In any case, the perception he has endured detestable is an expansion originating from you. An occasion itself is objective. How we portray it, that it was out of line, or it's an extraordinary catastrophe, or that they did it intentionally, is on us. 14. Be a force for good. Don't be a malicious person. You should likewise be a drive for good on the planet, decently well. As Marcus Aurelius stated, regularly bad form lies in what you aren't doing, not just in what you are doing. 15. Love your fate. Don't look for everything to occur as you wish it would, but instead wish that everything occurs as it really will. At that point, your life will stream well, Epictetus said. Rather than just tolerating what happens, the Stoics ask us to appreciate what has happened, whatever it is. Nietzsche, numerous hundreds of years after the fact, instituted the ideal articulation to catch this thought: love fate, an affection for destiny. It's not recently tolerating, it adores everything that happens. 16. Watch your words. Better to trip with the feet than with the tongue, Zeno composed. You can simply get up after you fall. However, recollect, what has been said can never be inferred, particularly barbarous and harmful things. 17. Roll out an inward improvement. Outward change, in our garments, in our autos, in our prepping, may feel vital, yet is shallow in contrast to the internal change. That is the genuine change we have to concentrate on. Remember Seneca's recommendation. Internally, we should be distinctive in each regard, yet our outward dress should mix in with the group. 18. Go out for a stroll. Throughout the ages, rationalists, scholars, writers, and masterminds have discovered that strolling offers an extra advantage, time and space for better work. As Nietzsche would later say, it is just thoughts picked up from strolling that have any worth. Or here is Seneca, we should take meandering outside strolls with the goal that the brain may be sustained and invigorated by the outdoors and profound relaxing. 19. Try not to be ashamed to ask for help. Don't be embarrassed about requiring help. You have an obligation to satisfy simply like a trooper on the mass of fight. So imagine a scenario where you are harmed and cannot ascend without another warrior's assistance. Marcus Aurelius. 20. Carry out your job. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius asks himself, "What is your business?" He at that point answers, "To be a decent individual." The Stoics accepted, regardless of anything else, that our employment on this planet is to be a decent person. It is a fundamental obligation, yet we are specialists at thinking of reasons for keeping away from it. As mentor Bill Belichick put it, carry out your occupation.